Hi, scholars. So today we are spending some time with our whale book. So if you have not grabbed that whale book yet, you want to pause for a moment, get your whale book, and we're setting aside the blue reading mastery book for a while. So you will not need that one for the next bit. A look at our objectives. So today we will recognize elements of a nonfiction text. And we will decipher between those elements. Meaning, decipher means like tell the difference between them, right? Understand how they are different from each other. So we're deciphering between the glossary, the text feature, the table of contents, and the captions. There we go. Sorry, everyone. So let's get familiar with our nonfiction text. So we're going to be reading working with Great Migration's whales. Words or terms to know. So these scholars are the four features, right? The four elements of nonfiction text that we're going to become very familiar with this year. So the first one is the glossary. A glossary is like a little mini dictionary that's usually found in the back of a nonfiction text. It has a list of words that defines unusual, hard, and or important words that are found in a text. So it's like a little mini dictionary of words that might be hard to pronounce, right? Might be unusual words, but they're important and they are connected to the topic of the book. The second element, text features. Text features are inserts on a page of a nonfiction book that highlight important information. Text features can include definitions, charts, pictures, and more. So inserts are these extra pieces of information that are inserted onto the page with the main text, the main information. They're usually somehow connected to that main information and just add a little bit more detail or something interesting to that main information. Our third element is captions. Captions are descriptions of photographs and other text features to better explain what is being shown. So think of a caption as like a description of what you're looking at, right? It tells you what you're looking at. And the table of contents is our last element. A table of contents, found at the beginning of a nonfiction book, is a list of page numbers where specific information may be found. So if you're not sitting down to read the whole book and you're looking for a particular topic, let's say you're reading about snakes and you think, what do snakes eat? You could look in the table of contents to see if there's a section on that, find that page number, and then go right to that section instead of having to read through the whole thing to get to that part. So that's how the table of contents works. Scholars, let's take a closer look at these features in our book today. So here's an example of the glossary. Right? This is actually the glossary in the back of our book that we're reading today. So you can see we have a few vocabulary words written in orange, and then the definition of those words, right? These are words that are important to our reading about whales, or they might be words that are hard to pronounce, that are interesting, right? For example, the word spermaceti. See if you can find that, right? That's an interesting word, a strange word, probably a new word to us. We'll find out more about that word today, but there's a definition for it right there in the glossary. Text features, remember, are those inserts that are on a page. So the page you're looking at right now has two text features, two inserts that are added to the page. Right? One of them is a whale of a word. So a look at a vocabulary word, that's a part of the page, is information. And we have how do we measure up, which is sort of like a little fun fact, extra fact box, right? A little interesting tidbit of information. The main text is the part that's in yellow. So the text features are inserted onto the page, adding a little more information. We'll be reading that today as well. A little hint for text features before we move on. You should read or look at the text features before you read that main text. It will help you to better understand what is being said when you get to the main text. After you read those text features, then read the main text, and you'll see that it helps bridge or connect the knowledge from the text feature to the main text, which then helps you understand better what you were reading. We're going to give that a try in our work today. You'll remember that captions are descriptions of what it is that you're looking at in a picture or another text feature. So here we have a picture, for example. The caption tells us what it is we're looking at, right? And the table of contents. So the table of contents that you're looking at is the actual table of contents from our whale book today. You will see this at the beginning of our book, and you can tell how many chapters there are, where you could go if you were looking for something very specific. Maybe before you read, you think, I want to know those 10 cool things about sperm whales. Look, I could go right to page 32 to read those, and then read some of the other information. So the table of contents lets you know where you can find particular topics or key pieces of information about your text. So today, scholars, we are going to read the first 4 chapters of our book. When we're finished reading, we're going to also look at one part of the homework together, the box and bullet question. What is box and bullet, you ask? You will find that out after our reading. The last part I want you to notice right here is once we're finished with our box and bullet work, I want you to make sure you reread pages 4 to 23 aloud to someone, and make sure you finish the rest of whale homework number 1, just that side, not side 2. We're doing that on the next lesson, and be sure you submit a photo of homework side 1. All right? Let's get started. All right, scholars, make sure you have your whales book in front of you. We're going to read pages 4 to 23. So I'll be showing it up on the screen here from the video, and you follow along in your copy. So our title page. Then this should look familiar, right? We have the table of contents. Remember, the table of contents tells you where specific information can be found. So if you were thinking, I want to know how whales communicate, right? You can jump right down here, whale talk. I can go right to page 34. So it gives you a great sense of where information is on specific page numbers where you can find information. We're going to turn that page for now. Now, if you take a quick look here, you'll see before we start reading, we've got captions, right? That tells you the caption, right, describes what's in this picture, sperm whales. You can see here from the caption, we're looking at red crabs, many, many of them. And the top here, we're looking at wildebeests. Then I see a text feature here. This text feature gives us 2 vocabulary words. Whale of a word, migration and mate. Migration, moving from one region or habitat to another for food or a mate. It reminds me of Henry and Tim, right? How they migrated each year from Canada to Florida, right? Their migration was flying south in the winter and then flying north again in the spring. Mate, either a male or female in a pair. Most animals need a mate to have babies. Mate. Migrate. Remember that Geese, we found, mate at about 3 years old and then stay together until one of them dies. Migration, mate. This text feature, right? An insert on the page. On the move. When animals travel from one region or habitat to another, it is called migration. Animals migrate in search of food or a mate. Migration helps animals survive on Earth. Many animals migrate. The sperm whale is one of them. Here are another two, right, based on our captions. What animal is longer than a school bus, has the largest brain of any animal, is one of the greatest divers in the world? A sperm whale. And another caption for this picture, right, telling us this is a sperm whale. Ooh, scholars, did you see this text feature, this insert, right, of extra information? This one's a joke. Why did the whale cross the road? To get to the other tide. Ba-dum-bum. Chapter 2, Wondrous Whales. Scholars, I see two more text features, right? Those inserts that are extra information, right? Giving you further detail that complements the main text. So we have another whale of a word, predator, an animal that eats other animals. And then here, right, this text feature is just giving us an extra fact, right? Like kind of like a fun fact box. How do we measure up? A sperm whale is so big, it makes an adult human look very small. Right, so think of me, right? I'm a good-sized human. And look at that size compared to the size of the sperm whale. Wow. Sperm whales are amazing creatures. They are the largest toothed predator on the planet. Males are larger than females. Males weigh up to 50 tons and grow up to 60 feet long. That's not just big, that's Huge, huge. Now, scholars, you could ask your family if they have a tape measure. Right? Maybe they would help you measure out 60 feet. Right? Or another way you could do it, you could take 60 steps, like set something down, and then take 60 steps away from it. And that would give you sort of a sense of, right, how far 60 feet is. Ooh, another text feature, right? An insert added to the page. A weird but true fact. A sperm whale's brain is 5.5 times heavier than a human brain. A sperm whale's head is big too. It makes up 1/3 of its entire body length. Its brain is the largest of any animal on Earth and weighs as much as 20 pounds. Oh my goodness, scholars. Can you imagine if our heads were 1/3 of our bodies? That could be an interesting illustration to make. Oh, look at that. 3 text features, 3 inserts on this page. Right? Sperm whales get their name from a waxy material in their heads. It is called spermaceti. You say it like this: spermaceti. Spermaceti. But scientists don't really know what its purpose is. Right? So there's this waxy material inside the heads of the sperm whales called spermaceti, but scientists don't really know what its purpose is, what it's used for, why they have it. This text feature is our whale of a word, spermaceti. an oily, waxy material found in the heads of sperm whales. And then here, a text feature. Right? Kind of again like a fun fact. Whale parts in demand. Spermaceti was once used to make cosmetics, creams, and candles. So cosmetics, scholars, is makeup. So think about creams or makeups that people in your family might put on their faces or on their bodies, right? Imagine it has, or it used to have, this waxy, oily material from a whale's head in it. Interesting. Ooh, text feature joke. What do you get when you cross an elephant with a whale? A submarine with a built-in snorkel. Do you get it? Right? The trunk of the elephant would be like the snorkel, and the whale would be the submarine. Wow. So it seems, scholars, as we've been reading so far, that the text features seem to primarily be, right, vocabulary words, fun fact kind of things, and jokes in this book. We know a lot about sperm whales. Oh, and I see 2 more text features. Scholars, I'm going to leave this one for you to read when we're finished today. So when you reread these pages, make sure you stop at this page and read about these facts about sperm whales. Our next chapter, Need to Lead. Female sperm whales travel in family groups called pods. There are 15 to 20 females and their young in a pod. Pods are led by an older female. She guides the whales to the best feeding grounds. Males usually leave their pods when they are between 4 and 21 years old. Then they join bachelor groups of up to 50 males. The largest and oldest males tend to swim alone. Why is being in a pod important? Sperm whales in a pod stick together as they travel. They protect and care for the sick, young, and injured. They make sure that every whale is fed. This is important protection since sperm whales migrate very long distances. Some swim enough miles in their lifetimes to circle the Earth several times. Ooh, do you remember what that's called from history when you circle all the way around something? Circumnavigate. Correct. They migrate according to the season. Ooh, scholars, they have that in common with geese, right? Geese migration is related to seasons. Ooh, another text feature, right? An insert added to the page with extra information. I would say we even have one over here, right? This map and key would be a type of text feature. In the fall, sperm whales migrate toward the equator to look for a mate. Right? So in the fall, they're also going right toward the equator, right towards where it's warmer. During the spring and summer, sperm whales swim farther away from the equator in search of food. Female whales and their young stay in the warmer tropical and subtropical waters year-round. Males, especially large males, travel much farther. They may swim as far north as Greenland and as far south as Antarctica. Wow. So their migration is even longer than Tim and Henry's migration. I'm going to look at our insert, right? Our text feature. Whale of a word, equator. You're familiar with this from our reading work. An imaginary line around the Earth, equal distance from the North and South poles. So remember, it's that imaginary line of latitude that splits the Earth into the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Our next chapter. What a feast! Ooh, this sounds interesting. Anybody feeling hungry right now? Ooh, text feature, another vocabulary word. Sperm whales eat a lot, about 1 ton of food every day. That's 2,000 pounds. Their favorite food is large squid found in deep waters. They can eat about 700 squid in one day. Oh my goodness, scholars, could you imagine eating 700 of something in one day? Even 700 delicious M&Ms sounds like a lot in one day. Sperm whales also eat octopus, fish, shark, and skate. And then did you notice our captions, scholars? Tell us what these things are pictures of. So here's a skate, right? Looks like a relative or a type of ray. Sometimes there's not enough food in one part of the ocean. While they search for food, whales survive on fat, called blubber, that's stored in their bodies. So scholars, that's where we're going to stop on our book for today. We'll continue with it again next class. But now I want you to look at your page with me, right? This paper, Whale Homework Number 1. Right? It's not in a packet, it's just its own loose sheet that you brought home. If you don't have it, right, you could do this work on a piece of paper, or you could print the one that's attached, or you could even type into the one that's attached to the assignment. But this is our work. And make sure you're on side 1. Side 2, we're going to do next time, and it looks very similar when you glance at it. So be sure you're on side 1. And then we'll get started on our work. All right, scholars, looking at our homework for tonight. Double check one more time to make sure you're on homework side 1 with me. We're actually going to work together on question number 3, but I'm going to give you a quick talk about 1 and 2, and then you can come back to that on your own. So number 1, name 3 kinds of animals that migrate. Use a complete sentence. So you could use 3 animals that you know migrate from the story that we read, but you might also know some other animals that migrate. But make sure you're writing 1 complete sentence. So you could start out, right, if you're using words from the question, 3 kinds of animals that migrate are bloop, comma, and bloop. Right? That would be a complete sentence. So, and it used a lot of words from the question. Number 2, list 3 facts about a sperm whale's pod. So this one, I would say, scholars, you would not have to do complete sentences, right? When you make a list of something, right, it's often just the information, right? If you make a grocery list, you don't write a complete sentence like, I need to get milk. I should get cheese for the tacos. I should get some coffee beans, right? You just make a list, right? Milk, cheese, coffee beans. So your list will probably be longer than just single words. And when you're making that list, scholars, you can go back here, right? In the front of your book, you could go back to the front. Interesting. You could go to the front of your book and look at the table of contents. Right? And do you remember where we read about pods? I feel like it was this need to lead chapter. So you could check that out, right? And use your book to help with evidence, to help with your 3 facts. But for now, we're going to question number 3 together. So I'm going to scoot this up a little bit so you can see. So it says choose one of the following topics and complete a box and bullet. Either Wondrous Whale, so that chapter, which are these pages 9 to 13, or What a Feast, pages 22 and 23. So since we're doing it together, let's vote. If you'd like to do Wondrous Whale, raise your hand. All right, hands down. If you'd like us to do What a Feast, raise your hand. Ooh, it was very close, but it looks to me like Wondrous Whale won. So we're going to use Wondrous Whale. So get your book and make sure you have it handy. And in the box is like our topic, right? Our main idea. So I'm going to page 9 and thinking, okay, we're reading about wondrous whales. Oh, scholars, this very first sentence makes me think that could be our topic, right? Our box. Sperm whales are amazing creatures. So what if in our box, right, our main idea, what if we said sperm whales are amazing? And if you write big like I do and you need a little more space, that's okay. I often have trouble writing inside that space. Sperm whales are amazing. That's our main idea, our box. Now, the bullets of the box and bullet are the details. So we're going to try to find 3 facts about sperm whales that are amazing. Right? So 3 things in that chapter that are amazing. So I'm going to look at my book. You look at your book. Can you find a fact that is right that shows how amazing sperm whales are? How about this fact? Males weigh up to 50 tons and grow up to 60 feet long. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Let's use that as one of our facts. So scholars, then what we're going to do is write that fact. Males. Oops. Oh my goodness, I started writing the wrong thing. Sorry, everyone. Males weigh up to 50 tons and grow up to 60 feet long. Now, if you're still writing, that's okay. You keep writing, but make sure you have a capital letter at the beginning of your sentence and a period at the end. Right? We want a complete sentence. Let's see if we can find another amazing fact in this chapter. Okay, I remember when we were just reading this aloud, I was pretty amazed by this fact. Right? A sperm whale's head is big too. It makes up 1/3 of its entire body length. So again, think about if our heads were 1/3 of our bodies. Right? Wow. So I, for example, am 6 feet tall. So if I was 6 feet tall, or I am 6 feet tall, but if my head was 1/3 of my body, My head would be 2 feet tall. My head is not 2 feet tall. You could even measure that if you have a ruler or a tape measure and think, oh my goodness, could you imagine if your parent or grandparent or someone in your family's head was 2 feet tall? Interesting. So let's write that fact. We could put that into our own words, right? What if we said it's? This kind of it's does not have an apostrophe because it's owning its head. So it's its head, not it is head. So no apostrophe. Its head makes up 1/3. If you want to write that as a fraction, scholars, it looks like this. A 1 and a 3. 1/3 of its body length. And then again, I made sure to put a period. So I capitalized my I, and I put a period showing I have a complete sentence. Then, scholars, we need one more fact. If you're still writing that, go ahead and keep writing. I'm going to go back to my book and look for one more amazing sperm whale fact. Oh, how about this interesting one about spermaceti? Should we put that one in? That's pretty amazing. Spermaceti, an oily, waxy material found in the heads of sperm whales. So this text feature, right, this insert added to the page, right, tells us what spermaceti is because the main text tells us it has spermaceti. And then this tells us exactly what that is. And then this other text feature tells us what in history spermaceti had been used for. So let's think, how could we, let's see, sperm whales get their name from a waxy material in their heads called spermaceti. So could we say they have a waxy material in their heads called sperma. I have to double check how to spell that, scholars. Spermaceti. Period. So if you're still writing that, that's okay. Take your time. Spermaceti. So again, we have a capital letter on they and a period at the end, right, showing a complete sentence, right? Now, you maybe found some other facts that are amazing. If you want to use one of those instead and you weren't writing mine with me, that is absolutely okay. But remember, this part tells us we have to stick to this chapter, pages 9 to 13. If you wrote exactly what I wrote, that is all right as well. Remember, your homework now is to reread pages 9 to 23, 4 to 23, and then complete the top, number 1 and 2, on homework number 1 only. Right? Do not do the other side. We're going to do that side with our next lesson. We're going to focus just on this side and do a really nice job. Remember, take a photo of this side when you're finished and be sure to submit it. Thanks, scholars. We'll continue our work with whales in our next class period.